Hi friends, this is called Coitus with down-to-earth facts, all emanating from my healthy, very healthy, in other words, atheist brain. Well, here's fact number one. If you believe in God, you suffer from a schizophrenia type disorder that nobody seems to see. You're a theotard. You have a problem with your brain. The fact is, we are created by Coitus, sperm and egg, product of evolution. Genetic material from our parents, from our dad, sperm, with all these genes, and then the egg is like a collision between comets attacking, crashing into a planet. See the symbolism? Sperm like comets, planet. All of a sudden, initiated a reaction, and zygote, and 9 months later, here we are. But see, the embryo, the zygote, and all this, the division in cells, and all the DNA, everything in life in this planet has DNA, and all has a toolkit, genetic toolkit, and it has some particular genes called Hox genes, H-O-X. And actually, they develop the organism. They make the structure of the organism what it's going to be. You know, the genetic toolkit. The embryos look the same, but one become a rabbit, the other one become a tree, the other become this and all that, you know, so all that. That's life. We are all related to the whole planet. And I'm going to explain to you the facts. But if you believe in God, here's the problem. It's like a schizophrenia type disorder. It could make us extinct. We're in the 21st century. We're not in the 4th. So we should realize that. We are born atheists, lack in belief. And that's what the brilliant scholars and atheists should actually say. Like Dawkins and Dennett and Harris and the rest of them. That in my view, they are blind. They don't see the facts. And they don't smash the chrysopsychotic, infected, imbecile theotards with the facts. Like I do. I tell it like it is. Here, check this out. At the early stages, one cannot tell what the embryo is really going to be. The Hox genes will take care of that, and they're a product of over 600 million years of evolution. The genetic toolkit, the Hox genes, will form. Keep in mind, I only say facts and express facts with the evidence to back up everything I say. It's all science. It's no religious bullshit, schizophrenia, deluded nonsense, product of defective brains. People of faith are people of schizophrenia. So they molest children's brains in churches and with this some begot belief nonsense. Instead of going to church, children should go to a science class like this one and learn the facts of life so that when they grow up, they don't become retarded, theotarded, God believer, morons, and imbeciles. Because if you believe in a resurrected son that say with blood, you have a problem with your brain. You are theotarded. You're stuck in the Middle Ages. Listen to the scientists speaking the facts. They should be taught every Sunday to children. And close all the churches because they molest the children's brains. They're no good.
So if you make mutations in those genes, you change the development of the characteristic tissues that should form along the anterior-posterior body axis. Different mice look very different from fruit flies. Their anterior-posterior body axis is built from the very same sets of genes. So mice and humans, other vertebrates, have sequences that are closely related to these Hox genes of flies. The Hox genes in animals also occur in clusters. The clusters are also expressed in patterns that are related to anterior-posterior development. Blue genes at one end of the cluster, they've actually duplicated, so there's more copies in mammals, but blue genes at the end of the clusters are expressed in the head regions of the embryo. And just as in fruit flies, if you make mutations in these key Hox genes, those mutations alter the formation of the characteristic tissues that would normally form at each position along the anterior-posterior
we humans have them too, because we do have DNA.
So it looks like the head-to-tail axis of animals, even that look completely different,
including us.
In fact, it builds the lower left cluster are expressed in the tail region of the. There's another gene called TBX4 that's expressed in the hind leg, but not the wing. A gene called PITX1 turns on in the leg, but not genes that are expressed in one limb or the other and help determine how the limb will form.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter whether you're a fish or a chick or a mouse, genes are on in
or a human
structure or the
or
other.
a human
Has been drastically altered. So we went through yesterday the hind limb on natural populations of, and I summarized a series of genetic experiments that showed that a major gene located at the distal end of linkage group 7 controls the presence or the absence.
Then we have chrysocosis infected imbeciles, ignorance of science, unable to understand that they are product of a coitus or a fuck, not a stork, born lacking belief, and that the brain creates the mind. And and that's what they say. And they're in control of the United States, the imbeciles, the chrysocotic infected imbeciles. Chrysocotic nuts. Fertilized egg is a person.
We hear all kinds of things, scare tactics that
This is chrysocotics for you.
with this law.
This is stupid chrysocotic imbeciles, ignorant of science, are in power in the United States.
Don't recognize the personhood of all human beings. We'll continue to see the destruction.
Look at these morons.
Every year.
Life is at stake, where her health is at stake. All
There's
of this
theocracy.
would be banned. But
Chrysocosis, theocracy in the United States. That's what's going to happen.
Of contraception, 98% of women in this country use a form of contraception.
See, this is science. And it's all proven. You can see it when you ask. You can experiment and you can see the whole thing. But people that even they're educated and they cannot grasp it, and they have this religious psychosis infection, a disorder, a schizotypy. And people that can be educated and they cannot grasp the reality, and these ideas of God and faith has come around sipping into their malfunctioning brains, they give up. They see God did it, intelligent designer did it, because they cannot understand the basics, even though they might have a PhD. And those are the psychotic people that go into theology, which is the study of imaginary friends. People are theotarded and they are very ignorant and deluded and suffer from a schizophrenia type disorder that I call chrysocosis. And they give these lectures on nonsense. It's like believing the Tooth Fairy and Winnie the Pooh and Mickey Mouse are real characters. They're like stuck in Disneyland, believing everything in the park in Disneyland is reality. That's the problem with religious people of faith, people of Christ psychosis. And this is actually what I'm explaining here is facts. It's actually fact. It's the way we are formed. The brain is the creator of belief and the mind. If you believe in imaginary friends and all that and resurrecting zombies as every blood, or flying projects and ghosts and all this demonic possession, or some stupid irrational conspiracy theories of aliens and crap like that, you do have a problem with your brain and you should have it examined. I continue. Because this is interesting. This is the way the body becomes formed. The human body, the genes, form our sexes. It's all in the genes. Psychotics like this Christian pastors and morons that belong in a mental institution had no idea they have genes. They had no idea what genes are. They had no idea they were a product of a fuck. They had no idea. They had no idea. They're stupid. They're imbeciles. They don't know anything about evolution. And here, why is this person not committed, not put in a mental institution like the rest of the schizophrenics? Temporal lobe epilepsy, people have problems with the brain. And he's not. They're talking about cult. And these are leaders. They're chrysocotic infected leaders, deluded, crazy people in charge of thousands of stupid, ignorant, gullible morons, the masses. They are not taught science in schools. And they have to believe in God because they cannot explain their existence. They cannot explain the world. And that's the problem. Here, see this. It's a schizophrenic comment.
Of evangelical Christianity, which is the largest Protestant denomination in the world, has officially labeled Mormonism as a cult.
And see, like this chrysocotic infected pastor. People of faith are people of schizophrenia. They molest the brain of children, keeping them theotarded and imbeciles reading only one book in church. Because they're conservative. Because that's what conservative means. Conservative means to be stuck in the past, stuck with the same ideas. The same. They don't evolve. And this is the problem. Christians and people of faith are people of schizophrenia. They are theotarded. They're stuck in the past. They keep all the same traditions all of thousands of years ago with the same stupid beliefs. The brain don't evolve. They are readers of only one book. Bibles, Qurans, and all these sacred texts, which are nothing but texts written thousands of years ago by people whose brains were under drugs. Because that's the reason they got all the beliefs. Because they ingested drugs and they saw all these gods and spirits and they wrote down all the visions. So those books that these idiots believe that are true were written by people under drugs, drug addicted. Those are the prophets. But the reality of it is that the genes, they were created by a fuck, and here it is. They were embryos born with a brain lacking belief, no knowledge. These morons don't understand that. A fact. And these are the people construct forelimbs, hind limbs, all the organs and everything, the toolkit. But this is the area of the cloaca and the Wolffian duct, which is a very long tube that will create all the primordial penis that will turn it into a clit. Yeah. This is what happens. See that, Jimmy? And you see that? That's the bottom part. Core to develop, and you have the Wolffian duct. That's all the sex organs. The bottom part of the fetus. And all this, but this will become, after 9 months of construction, a human being, born atheist, lacking belief. I'm bisexual too. God, everybody that believes in God is an ignorant filtard. Study that. We're created by a fuck, not a stork or anything else. God does not exist as a creation of malfunctioning brains, of very stupid ones. We are vertebrates. We have a spinal cord. Evolution, 600 million years ago. Picaya was the first organism that had a little spine. And you know, from that spine, the cell began to start forming all the neural pathway, product of evolution. And you go from the tail back into forming the brain, and all the spread of the electrical wiring and all the system with, you know, millions of years of evolution, millions and millions of years of evolution, that actually end up, of course, forming our brains. That every organism, you have a brain. And the brain is a director, the controller of the organism. And that's what it formed. The neural pathway with the Hox genes and the genetic toolkit is forming exactly what it's going to do. After mutations and mutation and mutation, forming an evolved mutated primate like we are. Amazing. Crypsychotic infected imbeciles that believe in resurrecting zombies that say with blood. They're stuck in the Middle Ages. They are ignorant of science. They have a problem with the brain. They don't realize the facts. And I present the facts with the evidence to back them up. Here.
First brain cells, the neurons, are already forming at an astonishing rate. As the tiny fetus grows, the neurons make their way out from inside the neural tubes into the brain, layer upon layer, like an onion.
See that?
Fat in the back, and then they hold on to the guide wire, the squeal fiber. Follow the cellular pathway.
Well,
They just grab hold
and
of cells called glia.
everything comes all the way when the little fetus come all the way from in the brain. Every cell is in the right location. And all the cells come around, you know, and all form in the brain. It's like with all this part of evolution, 600 million years of this little cells beginning to start evolving, adapting, and here we are, evolved mutated primates. See, so the brain is very important to keep it healthy. So it's important for you to do that, my friend, because we're evolved mutated primate, bisexual by nature, that create God belief with our brains when they malfunction. As you saw in the photos of the embryo, of the cloaca and all that, everything is becoming, the sexual organ is forming. It's the primordial phallus. And there's a beautiful Brazilian illustration, medical illustration, how the sexual organs are formed. We're all bisexual by nature, in reality. Both organs are there. The vagina and the penis, but they are primordial. And you can see the little top part is which will be the clitoris, which is a penis, actually, it's a phallus. And then when it recedes, thanks to the hormones and then all of a sudden it recedes, become very small, and the uterus has become forming the fallopian tubes, which is in ancient times it was called the bucranium because it looks like a bull skull. Now in the male, the penis start forming, the clitoris start becoming enlarged, the phallus, and then everything closes and the scrotum becomes, and there used to be the fallopian tubes come down and become the testes, and it's lower down, go slow, and get lower and lower, and searching for a cooler area because the scrotum has to be cooled for the spermatozoid to form. This is the reality of our life. Then the sexes are determined, and some are born with both sexes, hermaphrodite, and so this is something that the Christ-psychotics are to learn, because believing God is complete nonsense. The reality of it is we are evolved, mutated primates that created God with our brains. That's a fact. What kind of a language is this kid speaking? We'll be able to learn. What? You know? Can he speak in tongues? Well, he seems like he's speaking tongues right now with his yellings. He will learn the belief. He will learn the language of its parents communicate at a very fast pace. This is a faith of an atheist. And you don't see him saying, Jesus, I believe in you. That's great that I'm getting out of the cave of creation, and thank you, penis Christ, here I am. Well, you don't see him say that. He's tabula rasa. His brain is lacking belief. He's going to start learning the language of his parents, the belief of the society parents, and if he's educated and still believes in the fantasies and fairy tales of a zombie god that resurrects with blood, he has a problem with the brain, just like a schizophrenics. To Christians, 2 + 2 is equal to any number his malfunctioning brain think it is. It is exactly what happened with the religious psychosis. They cannot tell the difference between fantasy and reality. Only very young children and the uneducated have an excuse. Sorry, the truth hurts to anybody that is infected with the zombie god belief. In other words, anybody is a Christian, a Muslim, or a Hindu, or a Buddhist, or anybody that believes in nonsense. Because all the supernatural, spiritual, hocus pocus, deluded nonsense are creations of our brains. So religion is organized schizophrenia. There is no difference between the psychotic, stupid beliefs of a person that suffers from schizophrenia, a person that suffers trauma to the brain. If I take about a case of beer, or if I take LSD, or if I take mushrooms, or if somebody put a bag over my head and I cannot breathe and I suffer from hypoxia, or if somebody, bump him over the head, okay, then the brain malfunctions. And I start seeing visions and probably speaking in tongues or anything like that, or believing in gods. That is a psychosis. So people that believe in God have a problem with their brains. Anybody that has bizarre mathematical beliefs, which are in all religions, in all faith, and also in schizophrenia, they have a problem with the brain. And then we should say that. And that should be a fact in this 21st century. We're not in the Middle Ages. Science proved that the people that believe in God have a defective brain. And they have a malfunctioning brain, genetically malfunction. Something is wrong with their brains. And the brain is the one that creates all the thinking and the mind. We don't create the mind with our asses or with the hearts, like in ancient times the Egyptians believed. No, we create with the brain. They are the universes inside our skull that we create thought and the mind with. That creates the self, creates the identity, creates consciousness. What happens when you're asleep? You're unconscious. If somebody hits you over the head, you're unconscious. There's no God. You're in a dream world. And if your brain decomposes and dies, I mean, if your brain dies, you cease to exist. You're nothing. And we are nothing in this huge, vast universe of ours. But we do have conscience. We should know what we are. We should accept it. If we believe in God, we are no different than a deluded, a schizophrenic, temporal lobe epileptic, or a person with a malfunctioning brain. A theotard. Let's keep that in mind. So, when you're mentally healthy and sane, you're an atheist. Pace te om.